Was a very lucky lady to have a lot of this jewelry.
Amanishaketo's royal cache first came to light in 1834 when an Italian explorer, Giuseppe Ferlini, traveled to the Sudan, eager, as he claimed, to make some useful contribution to history. In fact, he was really searching for gold. Ferlini hoped to make a fortune selling antiquities back in Europe. His greed led him to the pyramid fields of Meroe. According to his diary, Ferlini directed his workmen to dismantle Amanishaketo's tomb at nearly 100 feet high, one of the best preserved in the cemetery. At the summit, Ferlini reported that his men had discovered a chamber hidden beneath the stones. From within emerged a bronze bowl filled with objects wrapped in cloths of linen. Ferlini had hit the jackpot.
As it became evening, I brought the discovered objects to my tent, and after all the servants had given over to sleep, I pulled out the precious objects and studied them with my soul filled with joy. I admired the gold, and on seeing the quantity of it, I realized it had to exceed greatly all that which I knew was spread through the museums of Europe.
Ferlini had discovered a dazzling hoard of jewels. Today, much of this cache is housed in Munich's Egyptian Museum. Gold bracelets covered with decorative bands of fused glass. Ornamental pendants bearing images of the gods. And dozens of heavy gold rings, some incised with the figure of Amun.
This is one of the greatest treasures ever found in Nubia. It gives us a very good idea of what the kings and the queens would have been wearing at the time.
Though Ferlini's raid did bring the incredible cache to light, a price was paid for the discovery. The explorer's ruthless quest for gold destroyed Amanishaketo's pyramid. In the outer courtyard of the Amun temple at Dangail, another story of destruction may be unfolding. These ruins, too, may be the product of something more than just the ravages of time.
This temple seems to have been abandoned for some reason, and we're not quite sure why.
From beneath the ground comes evidence of a catastrophic moment in Dangail's history.
It's a long piece of palm wood, but it's been incredibly badly burned. You can see this is charcoal, and you can see actually little bits of the palm beam breaking up as it's disintegrating. We're actually finding the real part of the roof beam that fell in after a big, big fire in this forecourt. It must have been a terrible, terrible fire because the burning is so extensive. And you can see traces of this fire on the columns, on the floor, and we actually have a piece of it preserved. Finding an extensive layer of burning does give us a good clue as to why people left the area. Maybe it was a big war, maybe the temple accidentally caught fire.
However it started, the fire must have been fierce enough to cause the evacuation of the temple, and maybe the entire city. But what may have been a disaster for the Meroites has proven to be a blessing to Julian Sala.
Everything underneath the layer of the fire that was on the floor surface has been completely sealed. This creates a time capsule. We have a specific moment in time preserved for us that we can see.
If Julian Sala's theory is correct, that moment in time may correspond with the final days of the Nubian Empire. Scholars know little about this period, but excavations at Dangail could help explain how and why the powerful kingdom came to an end. To learn how the empire first began, we must look to monuments farther north. Just beyond the fourth cataract of the Nile lies the most sacred place in all of Nubia, Jebel Barka, the Pure Mountain. At the base of this landmark sits the largest and what may be the oldest Amun temple in the country. It overlooks a fertile stretch of the Nile that has nurtured life for more than 3,000 years. Temples and tombs have much to tell about the Nubian kingdom's earliest years. Salah takes a break from the excavation to make an annual pilgrimage to Jebel Barka. Salah trades the green, lush valley of the Nile for the inhospitable terrain of the Bayuda Desert. The journey will take him 110 miles to the northwest, along a route steeped in history. He follows the same path the great kings and queens of Nubia would have traveled to reach the temples at Jebel Barka.
It is very hard, very rough, very difficult drive, but I like it very much.
The farther Salah gets from the Nile, the harsher the terrain. Here, only a few scattered wells provide a lifeline to the people of the desert. Nomads are drawn to these wells from great distances with their flocks in tow. They seek water, more precious here than gold. The well is also a blessing for travelers like Salah, driving across the desert. By car, he can cross the Bayuda in one long day. But for the ancient Nubians, it would have taken weeks. At the end of the road lies Karima, the town where he was born, nestled at the base of Jebel Barka.
The mountain itself have a great volume when you see it with the rest of the plain around it. And all of a sudden you have a mountain rising up 100 meters high. So it is very impressive.
For the young Salah growing up at the foot of the sacred mountain, Jebel Barka and the ruins around it were a constant presence.
I like this mountain when I was a child. I used to come here every Friday. And it was fun for me and my friends. At the same time, for me, these ruins were a mystery. I was very curious to know what was it about, the mystery of the mountain.
The mystery dates back 3,500 years to some of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt, Nubia's northern rival. In the shape of Jebel Barka's pinnacle, they saw the most powerful sign of kingship, the cobra, or uraeus.
You will see really the silhouette of a crown with the symbol of kingship on front of this crown.
Since it was Amun, the god of gods, who granted kingship, the Egyptians built a temple here in his honor. Expanded over the years by Nubian kings, the temple is the largest in the Sudan, but time has taken its toll.